So, in the spirit of why the fuck nottery, I thought it'd be pretty cool to do a top 10 list talking about my top 10 Dragon Ball Z villains. Now, the reason why I did this, why the fuck not? I don't do a lot of Dragon Ball Z stuff, mostly because, well, the fandom itself kind of drives me away, and I'm not as big as a fan as I used to be. I do occasionally watch some episodes here and there, but I do understand the reverence and importance of Dragon Ball, and it was a gateway anime for me, and it helped me get to other anime that I absolutely love. So yeah, I'm gonna honor that by doing this list because we all love the villains. Now, couple things before couple notes here and there when talking about this whole thing. One, the big thing is the term villain is very loose, because everyone at one point or another was a bad guy. Yamcha, Tien, Oolong, Tenshinhan, Oolong, even Yajirobe were all considered villains or antagonists. Even like Piccolo and Vegeta were. So we're just going to classify people who kind of stayed evil, for the most part. I did debate, and this is going to be the first one, I did debate on leaving him in here, but I feel like his villainy record kind of outshines the hero record. For now, at least. So there's one of debate. Also, yes, I do have the list right here because I was going to forget. Another thing we're going to talk about is that even though I'm saying Dragon Ball Z villains, I'm going to be registering a lot of villains. I'm going to be using a lot of villains in here from all eras. I'm talking Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball GT, and Dragon Ball Super. And I will be including the movies too. Now, as always, this is just my personal list. I'm not saying this is the end-all, be-all of Dragon Ball villain lists. And this one might be a little controversial at points. I'm aware. But, yeah. The problem with Dragon Ball Z, with Dragon Ball villains in general, is that they all kind of have the same goal. So it's really hard to connect with a few of them. When they're all just like, yeah, I just want to destroy the world. It's kind of it. Vast majority are just like, look how powerful and awesome I am. Yeah, it's kind of hard to do, but here we are. So, as always, I'm always curious to see what you guys have to say about your lists, so please comment below, let me know. So, with having said all that, let's get started with this list. Starting off with number 10, Broly. Broly, I was not thinking of putting on here because it looks like he's just going to be like a part of the Z Warrior team in the future Super anime. It is cool to see him finally canonized. And to quote Vegeta, he's so cool, but he's so dumb. He's so cool, but so dumb. Yeah. Basically, I'm glad the Broly Dragon Ball Super Broly movie really fixed, and that's probably one of my favorite Dragon Ball movies in general, of seeing that movie done was amazing, and it really gave a better explanation for why Broly is the way he is, and yeah. Because crying because another baby made you cry is not a good look. It's not a good look at all. But Broly is awesome. We can all agree that he had the soundtrack in the first. I don't care what anyone says. I know a lot of the American soundtracks for the first few Dragon Ball Z movies were pretty butt rock, but it was fun butt rock for Broly's was bumping. Like Broly's was a fire soundtrack. Haji's Kitchen, day after day. Tell me that thing doesn't get you pumped up. Hell, I recently went to go listen to the music, and it's all just Dragon Ball. It's just all Broly quotes. It's all just Broly quotes. So yeah, Broly had two good movies, and one where he's kind of the anti-hero. You could argue is the protagonist of the story. You can make that argument the same way you can make the argument that Thanos is the protagonist in Infinity War, but that's a whole other bag. Yeah, and then he had diminishing returns. Let's be real. Broly's Second Coming, Bio Broly. Ugh. Yeah. So, diminishing returns, but I feel like the intro to Broly was always the best. Was one of the best movies. So, yeah. Definitely wanted to put him on here at number 10. So at number 9, we have Cooler, Frieza's brother. Yep, Cooler is still non-canon. Cooler is he's a fun villain because it's more like I'm just killing you because you stole the idea of killing Frieza from me. And let's be real, that fifth form was pretty fire. Like, I kind of wish we got to see like what Frieza's fifth form would be, but still, Goku, Frieza Gold and Frieza Black is still it's pretty awesome. Cooler was this very cool-headed, but also this ruthless character. And then in Return of Cooler, he became like Brainiac. And I was like, yeah, Brainiac's one of my favorite DC villains. Of course I'm gonna like that. So when Cooler comes back as Mecha Cooler, I'm like, yes. I really like that. Cooler was always just cool. That was a bad pun, I'm sorry. Let's move on now to number 8. Number 8 is King Piccolo from Dragon Ball. Yeah, King Piccolo was like the first big villain for Goku to fight. Like, first major villain for him to battle in the Dragon Ball universe. Yeah, you could say the Red Ribbon Army and Mercenary Tao and all that, but King Piccolo was the first one to really just unleash hell on Goku, Krillin, and the others. This was a guy who came close to just winning everything, and and this was the first time, like in a long time, Goku, who's still a child, had to really like push himself to win. So I always enjoyed that, and he gave us Piccolo. Why can't you? You know, always fun. So there you go, King Piccolo. Next up, we have Cell. Oh boy, I know a lot of people are like, Cell this low at the list. It's a top 10 list, guys. Come on. Yeah. So, Cell, Cell is definitely, a great villain. I'm not gonna lie. But I kind of liked him better in the Imperfect Cell saga. Like, that Imperfect Cell is really where I really like that character. Not after he absorbed 17 and 18, where it was like, I guess I'll just blow up the planet now because I can. Lol. Cell was at his most terrifying when he was a bug. Because he's literally just drinking people. And it's almost like a horror. That whole arc in Dragon Ball Z, the Imperfect Cell story arc, is straight up a fucking, just a horror show. Like, it is a straight up horror show with Piccolo and the other characters really picking up the slack with Vegeta kind of... Well, Vegeta shows up, but Piccolo's really the guy in charge now. And yeah, Cell I felt like Cell kind of diminished as he went on. That's just me, though, and also, yes, Dragon Ball superhero. Yeah, that Cell was... Alright, that was a thing. That red Cell. But Cell, for me, I just felt like his intentions was, I'm just gonna blow up the planet cause lol. I was like, alright. I just liked him when he was scared, when he was a bug. That's just me, though. Hell, I passed up multiple times on getting a Perfect Cell pop because I wanted Imperfect Cell. I was waiting for that, and when they finally got it, I was like, yep, that's the one I want. That's the Cell I want. Anyway, so there you go. I know that one, it's just my list, guys. I'm not trying to say, like, Cell sucks or anything, because there are some good things. Like, again, that's the peak of Gohan right there. That is the peak of Gohan. Anyway, so moving right along we're at number 6 with Super Boo. Boo is a lot of fun. I think Super Boo was definitely a character that was just... That is just, I am going to kill and eat everything. And it's kind of disturbing that he just turns people to chocolate and just consumes them. There's something fucked up about that. That's the reason I went with Super Boo over, like, Kid Boo, because there was, like, no personality. Super Boo was just malice incarnate. Like, Super Boo was just a maniacal being. And one scene that really stuck out to me was when Chi-Chi, like, stands up to Boo and he goes, "Do you like eggs?" And just turns her into an egg and then just flat out stomps on her. And I'm like, holy shit. And then he turned everyone else into chocolate and ate them. That's horrifying. That's generally horrifying. Yeah. I do think the Boo saga did go on for way too long, though. But Super Boo Yeah, that was horrifying. But I will say Super Boo, again, that went on a little too long, but what can you do? Anyway, so let's move on now to the top 5. And starting off at number 5, we are talking about a Dragon Ball Super villain, Moro. Moro is one of the new villains in the show, and basically, Akira Toriyama asked the question, what if Galactus was a Dragon Ball Z villain? That's literally what you get with this character is, what if Galactus was a Dragon Ball Z villain? And here you go. He's a goat. He's also like a evil goat man who eats planets. Yeah. I know that's not exactly what it is, but that's kind of a generalization. I will say that's kind of like with Cell, where I was like, we should have kept him in goat form instead of this faux blue Cell form. Yeah, but Moro was definitely a character that really pushed all the other heroes. And again, what if Galactus was a Dragon Ball Z villain? There you go. So now we move on to number 4, which is Baby. Yeah, we're talking about a Dragon Ball GT villain. Baby was terrifying. Like, you could say what you want about GT in itself. I don't think it's that good. I know a lot of people agree with me on that. Yeah, step into the Grand Tour, my ass. But Baby was scary as shit. Baby was literally this organism that was possessing people, and it's very much like what I said about the Imperfect Cell story, where it was just this this force you couldn't stop, and you didn't have the right people to stop it. Goku wasn't there. Goku and Trunks and Pan were off-world, and Vegeta, man, Vegeta's last fight was just, that was gut-wrenching right there, what happened to him. But Baby was just terrifying, this organism that didn't fight you head-on. He used your friends, he used your allies, and I know that's been done before with, like, Garlic Jr. and all of that, but Baby just, like, had it on another level. It was, like, very much Invasion of the Body Snatchers in a way. So, yeah. So let's move on to number 3. Staying in the GT lane, let's talk about Super Android 17. I was thinking, like, Android 17 was someone I was thinking of this list, but he's like, no, he's kind of a good guy now, so I didn't want to put him. But Super Android 17 was a different story. Super Android 17 was a fun arc, because again, we had a new version of Android 17, and as always, what I always love Dragon Ball Z most, is when it doesn't focus on Goku and Vegeta, and focuses on the other Z fighters. And that's what it really did a lot. Yes, Goku came back and beat Super Android 17 and brought about the Black Dragon Balls, the Black Star Dragons, in the end. And I was thinking of debating having Omega Shenron and the Black Star Dragons on a whole in here. But I kind of decided against it because it's like, yeah, it was be really hard to justify a whole group, and Omega was only around for like a couple episodes max. But Super Android 17, yeah, he didn't last long, but he did have a big impression of just, he was like a fucking slasher villain, really. Like, he just came out of nowhere, would just come after people. What he did to Krillin, yeah, poor Krillin, or should I say Kenny. That's really what he feels like sometimes. So there you go, Super Android 17. Moving on now to our number 2, Zamazu / Goku Black. I was really debating, honestly, between him and number 1 of who was going to be my number 1 pick. And you could make the argument that it could be a toss-up, but really, Zamazu is a very unique villain. Takes over Goku's body, wants to be a god, and almost pulls it off. The fucker almost destroyed reality, and the only way that Goku and the others could beat him was literally altering the timeline with Zeno. I was like, holy shit! Zamazu was like this jealous god who was just obsessed with destroying human life and had these high aspirations of being a god, and just pushed Goku and Vegeta and even Trunks to, all new limit, beyond their limits. And they still couldn't beat the fucker! Like, it took Zeno to wipe him out, and wipe out an entire timeline to stop him. Yeah. So, yeah. Zamazu, Goku Black, whatever you want to call him, that's my number 2. And if you've not been on my channel long enough, you probably know who my number 1 is. It's Frieza. Frieza is just, like, when you think Dragon Ball Z villains, you think Frieza. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or but. You think of Frieza when you think Dragon Ball villains. Frieza is just, like, he is just conniving, he's cruel, and, yeah, you could say, oh, but isn't he good now? Not really. If you look at the new story arc, not really. He's now got a new form and wrecking house. So, Frieza has always been a fan favorite to everyone because his design is cool. His just personality of, I'm this asshole and I'm unapologetically an asshole. I just wanted to kill off the Saiyans because lol. Yeah. And let's be real, he's also the progenitor for everything in Dragon Ball. He's literally the guy who led to Goku coming to Earth, wiping out the Saiyans, leading to Vegeta's arc, and then killing Krillin, leading to Goku becoming Super Saiyan. And, yeah, much respect. Also, he probably gets the best villain lines, because he's just a prick. He's just a catty prick, and I love it. So, there you go, guys. That is my those are my top 10 Dragon Ball villains. You guys tell me in the comments below, what are your top 10 Dragon Ball villains? Just comment below, let me know. Once again, if you haven't already, hit the link below, head on over to my Patreon for exclusive content. And if you hit the 4th tier, you guys can start sending me requests for videos to do here on YouTube. But other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.